welcome back to a new video. So today I'm doing something slightly different. I've done one of these before on my blog, but never on my YouTube channel. So if you follow my blog, my photography blog, photography.samanthageroge.co.uk, then you may have seen that I do this series called Autism Reviews. If you didn't know already, I'm autistic, and basically, as you may be able to guess from the title, it's a review series by me from an autistic point of view. So, the previous one I did on my blog was for the Lush shampoo and conditioner bars. I did end up doing a video for that one, but recently I've purchased a weighted blanket and I thought that was a perfect thing to do an autism reviews video and post on, since they were actually designed for autistic people in the first place. So I have done a blog post accompanying this, so if you would prefer to read it, or if you want to read it as well as watch it, then you can head over to my blog. I will put it on the screen and leave it down below. So yeah, let's just get into the review. I will not show you my weighted blanket because, as the name suggests, it's very heavy. 10 kilograms worth of heavy, actually. 10 kilograms isn't loads, however, obviously blankets is very big, and so it's not like it's not very good shape to hold, so I can't really show you. However, I will put a picture of it up on screen so you can see it. It's obviously grey because everything in my life is grey. So before we get into the review, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on weighted blankets. They were invented in about the 1990s by someone whose name I can't pronounce, so I will put it on screen. And they were designed for people with autism and people with heightened anxiety, which is, like, every autistic person has heightened anxiety, but you know, even if you're not autistic and you just struggle with anxiety or stress in general, they'll probably help you, but they were originally designed for autistic people. I've been wanting a weighted blanket for years, like absolutely years. However, they are incredibly expensive. The one I bought, I think it cost me about £260. I know, and that was actually discounted. The brand my weighted blanket from is called Gravity, and they're quite expensive. They seem to be the best option for adults, at least, because I know there's quite a lot of weighted blankets for children but less for adults. So Gravity is where I got mine, and that is generally the recommended brand that you use. But at full price it would have been over £300. As I said, I got mine slightly discounted at £260-ish because they just have a sale on when I bought it. So, you know, it wasn't cheap, which is why it's taken me so long to get one, because really I wanted one for like 3 or 4 years now, and when I finally got my autism diagnosis a couple of years ago, you know, like, that want only doubled. But they are really expensive and we just haven't been able to afford it up until now. However, going back a few weeks, I finally got my PIP money, which is Personal Independence Payment. PIP is a benefit for people in the UK with disabilities who, you know, can't work or, you know, for some other reason have a disability and therefore have limited capacity to make income. So it's just a bit of money to help them be more independent, as the title would suggest. So I got that, I qualified for it, and so the first thing I bought with my money that I got was a weighted blanket. One of the main reasons I wanted a weighted blanket was because I really struggle to sleep. I always have. I have some medication for it. I have, I think they're technically just antihistamines. I think it's alamemazine, and I'm not a doctor, I do not know the science behind it. I failed GCSE science so much that I just ditched it in the end. So I really don't know, you know, the science behind it. But I know they are antihistamines. I don't really know what that means though. So, you know, I have some sleep medication, but yeah. I've still always struggled with sleeping though. Like, it used to take me like an hour and a half to 3 hours even to get to sleep in the first place, and then even when I was asleep, I'm quite a light sleeper, which is weird because I'm quite a deep sleeper in terms of once I'm asleep, nothing will wake me up really. I wake up a lot during the night naturally. You know, you may not know this, but you do wake up several times during the night, and that's very normal. And I always did that quite a lot more than normal, but not so that I remember them. But nothing will actually wake me up. Like, you could thud around my room and I wouldn't wake up. But basically my sleep has just never been great. It always takes me really long to get to sleep. My quality of sleep isn't very good. I have a Fitbit, which is going to be a different autism reviews video. I'm going to review the Fitbit, but essentially the Fitbit, it like tracks your sleep, so you can see how long you slept for, how much time you spent in light sleep, REM sleep, deep sleep, how many times you woke up, things like that, and it gives you a sleep score for quality of sleep. It's really cool. I think that's my favourite part of the Fitbit. That and the fact that it tracks your heart rate, I think it's really cool. But that's another video. So now that I have the Fitbit and the weighted blanket, since I've had it for about 3 weeks now, I've noticed, even though I've technically been sleeping for less time just because of other circumstances, because I've stayed up late reading or something, the quality of sleep I'm getting is better, because even though I've only slept for like 6 hours, I still get a pretty high sleep score because of the quality of sleep, which has drastically improved since I've got the weighted blanket. So sleep was a huge factor as to why I wanted it, and it's a very tried and tested method of getting better sleep, especially for people with autism and severe anxiety, and I have both of those, so you know. So now let's get into a little bit more of the formal review. On my blog, I sort of do a pros and cons list and then talk about it, so I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. On the pros side, it has most definitely helped me sleep, both how long I sleep and the quality of sleep, which is pretty damn good. It's very high quality, which is excellent, and also sort of what I would expect, seeing as it cost me almost 300 quid, but it does live up to that. It's very high quality and I expect it to last for at least a decade, so that's good because I don't want to be spending that amount of money anytime soon again. So I've noticed something of a dip in my anxiety since getting it. It's not a great time to measure it because obviously, you know, we're all in lockdown at the moment, so my anxiety's heightened anyway because a lot of my coping mechanisms have been taken away. So it's not really a great time to measure it because my anxiety is heightened at the moment anyway. But I would say that since getting it, it's sort of taken the edge off and brought me back down to sort of normal anxiety levels, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping that once all of this blows over, it'll then drop even more, if that makes sense. The blanket I ordered actually comes with 2 different covers, which is pretty cool. I've got like the fleecy fluffy one at the moment, but then it also comes with a lighter and sort of thinner summer cover. I say summer quite, you know, roughly, because obviously the blanket is weighted, and so even though you put sort of the lighter cover on, it's still going to be quite warm because, you know, it's weighted. So that's kind of one of the cons, but we'll get onto it in a little bit later. So talking of the texture, it's really, really soft, which is great because they're designed for people with autism, and autistic people, we don't like things that feel bad. Every autistic person is different, but I personally, it has to be soft or it's not allowed in the house, essentially. But it is really soft. Both sides are soft. All the cover, like all 4, because there's like the winter cover, it has 2 sides, so there's one really fluffy side, and then the other side is sort of less fluffy and similar to the lighter cover. So but yeah, the texture of it is really great. It doesn't, you know, have any bad sensory effects, which is pretty good. You know, I mean, if obviously every autistic person has different sensory triggers, so I mean, personally, I don't see how the texture of it could be a problem, because I mean, it's soft, it's lovely, it's nice. It's not like overly fluffy, you're not gonna get your fingers caught in it or anything. It's just soft, which is nice, you know? Like, I personally can't see a problem with it, but you know, everyone's different. So far I found the weight and the size of it to be really good. I got the bigger size because you can choose 2 sizes. I think even the bigger one it's still sort of like a single bed size. I don't think, at least not on the Gravity site, I'm not sure if you can get like double bed sizes, but then I guess it's kind of designed for only one person, so I guess that makes sense. I got the bigger one because I love big blankets. And as for the weight, it's meant to be roughly 10% of your body weight. So I went for 10 kilograms because, I mean, I don't know exactly how much I weigh, but I weigh somewhere around the 90 kilogram mark, roughly-ish. I rarely ever weigh myself, so I don't really know, but that weight has worked pretty well for me. I guess it will be different for everyone, because although they recommend 10% of your body weight, you know, if you know that you're someone who, you know, doesn't like loads of weight but just wants a little bit of weight, then maybe go down a bit, or, you know, if you're like me, because even though technically, you know, I'm about 90 kilograms, but I'm losing a little bit of weight, so I would have probably gone down to the 8 kilogram, but I know that I quite like heavy things. I like the pressure a lot, so that's why I went for the 10 kilogram. But yeah, so far I found it honestly to be so useful. Like, my quality of sleep's increased, and as I said, my anxiety has decreased slightly, but you know, it's not a great time to measure it, so I'll maybe get back to you on that one at the end of the year when all of this shitstorm blows over. But for now, I'm finding it really helpful, and it was a good purchase. It still hurts to say the amount of money I spent on it, because it was very expensive. But it was money well spent, because it's getting lots of use, and it's going to continue to get lots of use, and really I'm never going to go anywhere without it. However, that being said, there are a couple of cons. They're not major things. I mean, the biggest con is that it's really fucking expensive. Like, there's no way around that, but you know, it is really expensive, which sucks because, you know, they are made and designed for people with autism, and therefore, you know, and people with autism, like, we often have limited capacity to work, so we don't have much income, so it's not, you know, like, when it's hard to afford it, essentially, especially considering it's designed for people who are likely not going to be able to work, or at least have limited ability to work. So it sucks, but, you know, it is a very high quality product, and I expect, you know, because it's heavy and everything, it takes quite a lot to, you know, ship it and make it, so I expect there's a reason behind why it's so expensive, but it doesn't make it suck any less. I do suggest though that, you know, don't let the price put you off. It is expensive. I mean, I've been waiting like 4 years to get mine, so persevere, you know, maybe ask for donations for it for your birthday, Christmas, whatever holidays you celebrate, and, you know, save up, and eventually you will get there, because I think it's really, like, it's worth it. It is expensive, and it might suck, because you'll be like, oh, I could spend this money on so many other things, but, like, your quality of life will improve so much, because, you know, if you're getting better sleep, then you're going to be able to function better during the day, and, you know, even I've just found that I can function better during the day because I've got more sleep, which then means that I can, you know, do more things, which can create more income, so it all comes back around. So despite it being expensive, I do think it's worth it. Another very small con that I just thought I'd mention is that it's very big, and because obviously it's weighted, it's very padded, so it's very difficult to fold, and you just can't store it very easily. Like, it takes up a lot of space, so, you know, and obviously it's also very heavy, obviously 10 kilograms worth of heavy, so that, you know, you're not going to be able to put it some places. You know, I mean, I'm not hugely strong, but I'm also not particularly weak, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to drag around your room, so, I mean, if you've got a child or something, obviously their weighted blanket would be not as heavy, but they're still going to struggle to drag it around the room, if that makes sense, if you've got a child. So, you know, just be aware of that, I guess. It's not for the faint-hearted. I tend to just keep mine at the end of my bed, and then I just pull it up, and that's fine. Occasionally I'll chuck it on the floor, and, you know, picking it up is a bit of a bother, because, you know, you've got to, like, bend your knees, but it's not a huge effort, it's just something to be aware of. You know, obviously, like, you're not going to have to bring it on an aeroplane, for example, but, you know, I mean, it's kind of annoying because obviously I still live at home, so my world is confined to my room, and so I don't have loads of space, so it is sort of, I kind of just move it from my bed to my floor, which can be a little annoying because it gets in the way, and because it's so big and bulky I can't really put it anywhere because there's no space to put it anywhere, it's too big. But, you know, I'm sure once I have my own house, or, you know, if you live in a house with kids or something, then you'll have somewhere to put it, so it's probably not the end of the world for most people. It just sucks because I'm still confined to my own room at this point in my life. Another thing I thought I'd mention just very quickly, it isn't a huge issue that I've run into yet, because it's still, I mean, it's only April, I live in England, so it's not exactly, it doesn't get hugely hot here, but it has been quite warm the last few weeks, so, you know, I can see it becoming a little bit of an issue, because obviously even if you put the lighter cover on, it's still a weighted blanket, so it's gonna get hot in the summer. I mean, I'm someone who absolutely hates the heat. I hate being too hot because you just can't fix it. Like, if you're too hot, you're too hot. There's nothing you can do about it. You can only take off so many layers. So now I'm quite lucky. I have an aircon, a fan and a heater in my room, so I'm sort of covered for all weathers. I can't have the aircon on overnight because bugs will get in the window and I'm not about that, but I do have a fan and it has lots of different settings, so I can just have the fan on all night. We can afford to do that, so you know, that's a plus. So I don't see it being a huge issue for me personally, but it could be an issue for some people if, you know, if you don't have a fan. You know, I mean, maybe just think about that. Maybe invest in a fan for your room at the same time as you buy the weighted blanket. If you live in a hot country, you know, it might just work. As I said, I live in England, so it's never going to be a huge problem here. We get like 2 weeks of hot weather if we're lucky, so, or unlucky in my opinion, because I do not like the sun. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because I can see it being somewhat of an issue later in the year, but you know, again, it's not a huge con because it can be easily fixed, if you know what I mean. So those are sort of all of my comments, so I just sort of wanted to bring it all together and give you my overall review. Overall, I would give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I love it so much. You know, even though there are a few cons, it was expensive. You know, it's not the easiest thing to store and move around my room. Might get too hot in the summer. Like, those are minor things in the grand scheme of things, because it's, you know, it's helped my anxiety tenfold. It's helped me sleep for longer and get a better quality of sleep, which is in turn making me more productive and happy during the day, which is then going to be allowing me to do more things, which is then going to allow me to move out and make money quicker. So, you know, there are a few minor cons, but really they're nothing compared to the benefits I'm reaping from it. So, like, honestly, 5 out of 5 stars, highly recommend it. Obviously I have the gravity blanket one. I don't have any others, so I can't compare them. But I do highly recommend the gravity blanket if you can afford it, because I know they are expensive, which kind of sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it. But yeah, in total, I absolutely recommend it, totally rate it, and would definitely buy it again, even if it was very expensive. So yeah, that's sort of my autism review of the weighted blanket, gravity blanket, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope someone found it useful. If you're looking at getting a weighted blanket or something. I know they are expensive, but honestly do invest in one because they are really, really good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. I do weekly vlogs. I've got some Sims videos coming up, behind the scenes photo shoots. There'll be more autism reviews posts in the future. As I said, I'm going to do one for Fitbit, so keep subscribed so you don't miss that. You can subscribe to my photography blog down below, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.